life to be his ghost. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I do know that Dale and I... Okay, Gary, we've driven 4 or 5 miles over to a place way up on top of the hill, and this place actually has the old signifying ambience of a haunted house. It stands alone up on a hill. There's a Hickory Lane way down at the bottom of the hill, down the road yonder. And this place here, Dale is showing you down the road now.
We're trying to get a shot of it.
Dale is showing you down the road there that comes up to this house. And if you turned off the main highway and drove into this road and then back up on the hill to this old house, it would actually have the perfect atmosphere of one of the old haunted house scenarios that we've seen in the movies, in comic books. And this actually is the family homestead. Now, this is not the place that I was raised at, but this is where my father was raised. And the place goes back, it was owned by my great-grandmother. And then later on, my great-aunt lived here. And not long ago, Aunt Estelle passed away. But this is pretty much even has to do with Dale's descendants, too. He had descendants that visited and resided up here in this area. And
I can remember the first time that I really saw TV come out there, the thing.
yeah.
I can't remember for sure where I lived in. It had to be fairly close by because, yeah, yes I do. It was over, just over here. Do you remember where you lived the first time that we actually saw, if you remember seeing each other?
Right.
Across from Wilson McCarthy's.
Exactly.
We lived at that place, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere right in that area. And we used to walk up to this house when we were, Aunt Estelle lived there, and watch TV. I can remember watching Dick Clark and I believe Superman back in those days.
Dale, was the audio picking me up pretty good in the area where I was standing, do you think?
Oh yeah.
Okay, pan around and show him the front porch. And of course, there was a modern awning added later for the carport. But the reason that we came up here, there's been many and many old ghost tales credited to this house. And many things that happened here that have since been unexplained. Dale is panning around to the old pump house area now, where the water pump, that housed the water pump.
Leland, why don't we just walk down this little lane here and shoot some things, because, you know, there's been a lot of stories told about that particular roadway.
Yes. And one particular incident about the house that I remember them telling quite often, Gary, it had a long front porch yonder. Dale is sort of panning on that now. Many times there would be people visiting on Saturday nights and listening to the old battery radio, listening to those radio things like the original radio shows like the Lone Ranger and the Shadow and all that kind of stuff. They'd gather around to listen to the radio just like people would movies later on. And they've actually heard people or a person or what seemed to be a person walk up on the porch. They could hear them walk up and knock on the door, and then they would go open the door and there would be no one there. That incident happened quite often. They also heard cars drive up in the yard and heard the door slam, and they would go outside and there would be no car there. Many ghostly sounds are credited to this place. More sounds, I think, than scenes. But there was something mysterious about this place, and it still holds that atmosphere. Now, Dale was speaking about going down the road. Right down here, this road was nicknamed Hickory Lane because there were a lot of nut orchards down yonder. And right down in the bottom, if you will, if Dale is panning in on that shadowy part, the old house is not standing, but down there, where Chris is walking to, where you see the shadows going across the road, stands, well, it doesn't stand there, but it's the place where I was born. An old country doctor named Dr. Wyndham came and delivered me. And that is actually the place where I was born, down yonder in the Hickory Road, seen along this road.
I'm shooting.
When we turn around, it's hanging up on the hill.
This was this the side of the road where the house stood?
But actually, it was on down yonder around the curve. You gonna get in the car and drive back down and catch it? I just
Yeah, we can do that.
don't. We gonna get it with.
Just turn around and shoot going back up the hill toward the house.
Okay, you turn it on.
Yeah, we're shooting now.
We are shooting now. I didn't know it. Okay, this is the hill that leads up to the old homestead. And when I speak of this homestead now, I'm not talking about the old bungalow where I was raised. This is actually the old family place that was owned by my great-grandmother. And where my father was raised. And later on, Aunt Estelle, my great-aunt, was the last one to reside there. And last year, she had to go to a nursing home. And Dale can tell you a few things about Aunt Estelle. Even on up into her later years, in her 80s, she was still a sprightly, comical lady, wasn't she, Dale?
Very lively, and it was always a pleasure to spend time with her and be around her.
But she has since, unfortunately, become unable to care for herself as she has reached real advanced years. And she resides happily in a nursing home now. And she has a lot of company over there. I suppose it's the best place for her to be. But we have lots of memories of this old place too. The place is actually a legend in the local area, isn't it, Dale?
Yeah, I remember you and I were spending so much time together. There was always stories about this place in this area. And like I said, I guess it was a gathering place for so many people for many years.
Yes, I can remember, as you spoke of a few moments ago, Aunt Estelle and Uncle Willie were actually the first people to purchase a television, weren't they, in this area?
As far as I know, they were one of the very first, because it's the first place I can remember seeing television.
This is the first place that I've seen some of the great old 50s comedy shows and supernatural and horror shows right over here. Spending the night at Aunt Estelle. Now, Uncle Willie was a bus driver, and Dale, I think his old bus is still standing behind the tree. Can you catch it back there? Dale, we see if he can zoom in on the old
I've got it.
dilapidated bus, which later became a playhouse for some of the local kids when he retired from the bus driver. Okay, Gary, Dale is zooming in to the spot where a house used to stand many, many years ago, and they just growed up dog kennel weeds there now. But this is a house back in 1945 that Margaret D. Lafayette Cobb and Eula Merle Cobb resided at, and this is where Leland B. Cobb came into the world. This is where I entered into terra firma, right here. Picking up Lane Road, just below Aunt Estelle's old house. Just below the old haunted house. One of the old landmarks.